Hope all is well with everybody. Welcome in. We're going to get started. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. I keep wanting to think that it is every day, but happy Wednesday to everybody. I hope you were having a great week. I hope you were having a great hump day, the hump of the week. I hope that not only will this live be impactful and very informative and lead you to taking action, not just having urgency and sitting on it or gaining a whole bunch of knowledge, just sit on, excuse me, to sit on that water went down. Um, but also just understanding exactly where the pain points that you have are coming from and understanding how we can reverse when it comes to insulin resistance or A1C. The symptoms that we have going on, as well as fix the problem and get to the root and then have sustainable change in our lifestyle by getting off of the path of leading ourselves to having diabetes. Because a lot of us are sitting here in a space where not only are we uncomfortable, we've maybe finally found out that we have insulin resistance, but we're also sitting here thinking that this is inevitable. We're thinking that this is the lifestyle that every person in my family, every woman, every man, or etc. is gonna go through or has to go through because it runs in my family, it's in my genes. And you're sitting here being told by your doctor that we're keeping an eye out for your A1C, right? We're keeping an eye out for your blood sugar, or we're watching and seeing if you turn into diabetic because you have prediabetes or you have insulin resistance. You have seen the symptoms that are coming from you developing the insulin resistance or diabetes over the years, from inflammation, the exhaustion that you're feeling heavy within your own body, feeling disconnected from your own body, trying to figure out why you're having all these sugar cravings, right? Even if you have done the practices and the habits of the diets of getting rid of this sugar craving, getting rid of sugar addiction. And many women have been in the space of diet culture, but they've never been in a space where it was created directly for them and helping them be able to change, to shift, not having some type of casual wellness journey or some type of one size fits all band-aid of a keto or a paleo or a Weight Watchers, not having a one size fits all medication slapped in front of you and saying this is your solution, or a surgery saying this is what you need. Not a whole bunch of knowledge and entertainment given to you like they do on this app, but understanding the reality of what you were going through and having a sustainable solution towards that. Because the lab results hit different when you feel like that you have nowhere to go, right? When you hear the word pre-diabetic or insulin resistance, that medication is the first thing that pops into your mind, is that I'm gonna have to take insulin for the rest of my life. My mom takes insulin. I know what that looks like. I know what my body feels like, and it's saying that I am down a path of having diabetes. This is inevitable, right? And as soon as medication or we're going to watch it gets mentioned, you immediately set yourself aside and say, I'm going to have diabetes. I'm already pre-diabetic. Instead of understanding that you can rewrite your future. Whatever path that you are on is not set in stone when it comes to majority of things in life. Obviously, if you have a child, it's set in stone that that child is going to be there. But it's not set in stone of the fact that if you have an illness or a disease, diabetes, and etc., that does not mean that it's set in stone that you are stuck with it for the rest of your life, that you have to take a medication for the rest of your life. Just because you get a diagnosis does not mean that it's written in blood and that it's finally there and it's going to stay there forever. A lot of the times you've been having symptoms and you just don't know where to pinpoint these symptoms, and doctors aren't taught how to have you pinpoint those symptoms to fix them. They know how to diagnose you when you finally have a gestation of like, okay, this is a plethora of different things that lead you to having diabetes or insulin resistance, right? And so you feel like that you are never going to be able to shift. You are never going to be able to change. And that change and that shift is never going to be available for you, for your lifestyle. And so a lot of people just accept it. And it's not just about you feeling tired and wanting your energy back, or you having insulin resistance, right? And you wanting to not have diabetes in the future, but it's about you understanding that you are metabolically in a space of a block. You are having an issue with the body with blocking your metabolic process. Your metabolism, just like your body, is working to try to correct what you do when it comes to the foods that you eat and the products that you use. So instead of your metabolism functioning and working in the proper way so that it can, use nutrients, absorb nutrients, so that you can feel good, so that you have a correct amount of energy being reproduced, or not reproduced, but used and produced in the body from the foods that you eat. So instead, guess what's happening now? Your body is slowing down. Your metabolism is slowing down. Your processes are not working like they used to. Your body's holding on to more things than what it used to. You're waking up foggy. You're having energy crashes through before the afternoon. You're having a number of issues of your cravings being louder than what you actually have discipline for. And a lot of people have sugar addiction, and you're trying to figure out, why do I have sugar addiction? How come the sugar is impacting me the way that it is? And you're not understanding that, one, the sugar itself in the industry, in the way that they do research on how sugar impacts the body, specifically processed sugars, it is a whole agenda set up against you. And they've done many, many years of research in order for them to stimulate yours, not only stimulate you on a dopamine, but also a serotonin level. So that way you get the same sensation that you do by taking a DRUG. And so each day that you're eating it, right, and you become accustomed to you eating a certain amount of sugar every single day, now you have an addiction, just like a little person that's on the side of the corner begging for some money so they can go get their next fix. And yes, it doesn't look like that in the outside looking, or rather being in the scenario. But from an outside looking in, as somebody who has not only gotten rid of my sugar addiction, stopped eating sugar for about, what I want to say, about 2 months, getting rid of my sugar addiction, and fully helped myself be able to reverse and to heal away from the sugar addiction that a lot of people still struggle and deal with. And it's not hard to get rid of sugar addiction. It takes 2 weeks of dedication. And I promise you, if you were in my program, you know. It is okay for you to not have the knowledge and the recognition of what is going on with your body, because you were not taught how to understand the patterns. And so as people try their health journeys and they're having those cravings that are loud, and you're sitting there and you feel like a failure because you finally ate sweets and you caved in, remember, there are studies against your own biology to make you crave these things. So we have to learn how to get away from this setting, how to reverse what we have going on. And they're not going to teach you in the same space that they have learned how to poison you. They have literally learned how to throw off your body's natural rhythm, and they're not going to teach you how to get back into rhythm. They're the same industry. All of them work in cahoots. All of them profit off of each other. Medical industry, the food industry, all of these industries that are promoting to you to do diet culture and to do diets. And this is the way for you to take care of yourself. And this teaches women that trying to be healthier is being stricter, eating less, cutting carbs, and pushing harder through workouts. This is not only a very uncomfortable place for majority of people, but it's also detrimental to not only your mental health, but also your body feeling comfortable with you and yourself in a health journey. Because you're teaching yourself that you're not doing any of the things that are supporting your body by eating and being hungry. And then you're also not teaching your body, hey, food is safe. It's just a matter of how you eat it. Food is safe, and this is going to be the solution. Working out harder, and yes, you might look good because you're in the gym and you're losing weight and you're in a calorie deficit. And yes, this helps you feel good on a subconscious and conscious level because you can physically see it. But internally, your subconscious knows how each entire organ is not being supported by the malnutrition because you don't eat enough. And then two, your gut health, usually a lot of people's gut health is poor. So then you're not absorbing the nutrients as much as you possibly could in the foods that you were eating on this diet and this calorie counting and restricting, cutting out carbs and etc., right? And so the body's having to compensate and try to figure out, how am I going to get enough energy to put to the pancreas, the liver, the kidney, and the heart today, and the brain, and then also support a gut that has a poor immune system and a poor gut pH. And you continuously see this pattern of dysregulation and an uncomfortable lifestyle. And then you wonder why your numbers are rising when it comes to cortisol, when it comes to your blood sugar, when it comes to your insulin. And it's not only disheartening to know that you're working out as hard as you can or working as hard as you can, restricting and calorie counting and cutting out carbs, and you feel like whatever direction you're going in is still a failure. That's discouraging. And so the reason why they don't show you how to reframe so that you can restructure, so that you don't feel like you have no discernment or no type of discipline in your health journey, is because they don't want you to know your own physiology and biology, because when you understand how the body's naturally supposed to feel, you know what's throwing it off. You'll understand when you're having an off day how to fix it, instead of having to run and go get a prescription and a Aleve, an Advil, or you getting some Tums because your stomach is upset. It's not about willpower. It's about your physiology. It's about you understanding how insulin resistance is a metabolic traffic jam. It's a block. And so you have to get rid of the block in order to fix insulin resistance. So glucose cannot enter the cells effectively when you have a high insulin level. And this high insulin level is going to cause your body to store more fat. It's going to cause you to store more things inside of your fat cells. When you are having a gut that is poorly regulated and a whole bunch of additives and fillers in your daily food, your body stores that inside of your fat cells because it goes, well, I can't put this toxic ingredient over here. I don't want it to touch the heart. So we're going to put it down there in your lower belly. So that way the reproductive system can figure it out, because at the end of the day, we're not trying to have kids right now. Our cortisol is already too high. We already have too much estrogen going on. We're not really trying to produce a baby right now. So we might as well just put it in your lower belly. And then that fat storage is increasing over the years. And this is increasing your inflammation over the years. And that inflammation is causing a number of issues. Like, for instance, it's giving diabetes. It's giving insulin resistance. It's giving diseases a place to thrive. It's giving parasites a place to thrive. And then it's causing your organs to work overtime. So your energy production is dropping. So as your organs are having to work overtime, they're not getting enough energy from the cells. So it's like you sitting there knowing that you need water, and it's the hottest day of the year, and you're running a mile outside. And instead of you realizing it's the hottest day of the year, I need some water, I need a water bottle, you're sitting here thinking, I can push through. I'm going to run for another hour, even though I have sweated out all of the water, all of the hydration in my body, and continuously running. And then when you finally pass out, and you sit there and pass out because you have no water, you have no hydration, and then you're sitting there and you're confused of why you have no hydration and how you're dehydrated. It's because the body needs it. And the same thing with that energy, it needs it. That is the lubrication for everything to work correctly, water and the energy. And so when you don't have any hydration, when you don't have any oxygen on a cellular level, like a lot of people don't, because you get that from fruits and vegetables, specifically water-based fruits, because there's a different type of hydration that comes from fruits, and oxygen also comes from fruits. It's a pattern of continuously throwing your body off and then making your body overcompensate for the habits that you have. It is a pattern and a process that can be corrected when you understand why your body is responding the way that it is to your habits. Your body is not betraying you. Your body is not the enemy. Your body does not hate you. It just hates the habits that have been patterned or trained into you, rather, and the habit patterns that have been trained into your family, that have been pushed on and passed on to you. And diseases thrive in this space of continuously raising a generation after generation that does not understand their own biology of their body. So insulin resistance is an early phase of metabolic disease progression, because metabolic dysfunction is a disease. And so as you go and you leave it uncorrected, it's going to move you towards type 2 diabetes. It's quiet, it's gradual, but it's predictable. And that's the reason why these doctors do not pinpoint all the symptoms before, and they just wait until you have something that's diagnosable, because it is treatable and preventable. It's treatable when you get diagnosed with it as well. But we are told as women, we're going to keep an eye out. We're going to watch it, right? Try and lose some weight, and we'll come back in 6 months. And when we come back in the 6 months, we'll see how your labs have changed. We'll see if your blood sugar has changed. But they don't teach you how to get rid of sugar addiction. They don't teach you what habits that are causing the issues. They don't show you how the quiet, gradual progression has happened over your lifetime through a number of habits and give you an action plan. They don't teach you these things. And so when the labs worsen, when the symptoms that you have worsen, when they tell you that medication is the only way for you to fix it, this is management. This is how you manage something, which is keeping it alive. This is not reversal. And so as you feel that path that you were going down, which is not only going to put a dread over your life and make you feel heavy, but it's also going to make your spirit uncomfortable. And that is your discernment. That is your discernment speaking to you. That anxiety that you feel around that doctor's appointment, because you should not walk into a doctor's appointment feeling like you're anxious and you're going to get diagnosed with something else and walking out with a new pill. Because when you have that feeling, when you have that thought, it's because you have not set yourself up with the correct things for you to not leave the doctor's office feeling like you've been defeated and that you now have a surgery scheduled or some type of prescription on your mind. But when you feel this path forming and your discernment is talking to you and your spirit is sitting there resisting the habits that you have, it's time for you to sit back and to give that discernment, give that feeling validation of understanding why, not ignoring it so that you hope that it disappears, but understanding why extreme dieting is not working and how it's not repairing your metabolism. Understanding how those motivation spikes of I'm going to do a diet on Monday and I'm going to take care of myself, and then by Sunday you quit because you're tired of dieting and eating salads. That motivation spike is where you have to shift, because this is not stabilizing your hormones. It's not helping your body feel safety. You're searching for a shift, but you're looking in the wrong places. And it's because you haven't found a real sustainable health shift. You want your body moving in the right direction again. And so the question is, how do we get there? We have to look at the framework of what we are taught when it comes to diet culture versus you taking care of your body in a healthy space, which is structure versus stimulation. We have talked about this many times. Diet culture sells you stimulation, new plans, short challenges, elimination phases, restriction plans, trendy restriction plans at that, motivational hype. This is stimulation because it helps you feel good right now. It helps you feel productive, but it does not build metabolic safety and it does not build new healthy habits. It gives you something that keeps you temporarily entertained. And then when you're done with doing it, now you need something new. It's just like kids with toys, if you think about it. If you think about how children act towards toys, and we all know this, when you get them too many toys, eventually they're going to stop playing with majority of the toys and they're only focused on what's new. They never keep up with playing with those toys that you give in abundance because they're focused on what's new. But when you start giving them those small little changes in their toys in their day by saying, okay, I'm only going to give you a handful of these for this week, and this is what you need for this week because this is going to stimulate you here, here, and here. Whether you homeschool or whether you have your kids during a certain amount of hours of the day, you should be doing this if you want to get your money's worth. By the way, I don't have children, but I work with kids. This is what we did with our centers to keep kids entertained all year round. So if you have an issue with your kids not using their toys, this is going to help you, okay? And this ties into our thing, so just hold on. That has no structure to it. Giving your children a whole plethora of different toys that don't even agree with each other does not give them structure. But let's say that your kid is really, really entertained by the idea of like having a baby, taking care of a baby, making sure they're well, and then incorporating that with doctor visits and things like that. That's structure. Because now guess what? You can give them a structural system of, okay, your baby needs a bath, your baby needs to eat, your baby has to get a checkup every day, right? Your baby needs a diaper change. And now you have stations, and there's small little things that they can do at each station that builds a bigger structure of them taking care of their baby. And so let's pinpoint that to us taking care of our body and understanding diet culture. When you don't have that structural little pattern habits of, okay, I'm going to do this, I have this, I have this. I have 5 stations that I hit daily of me taking care of my body, getting enough water, getting up and getting moving in somehow, way, shape, or form, me making sure that I eat enough, making sure that I take care of my mental health, and resting enough. 5 different pillars. And when you make those small little changes in each little pillar every single day, this adds structure. It gives your body safety. It doesn't give you dysregulation of having too many diets and too many plans and too many snacks and all these different solutions for you to be able to take care of your body. But it gives you that little structure, and each structure is going to help you build a healthy foundation that is sustainable. Structure creates rhythm. Rhythm creates hormone stability. Hormone stability, or stability in general, allows your insulin to function properly. That properly functioning insulin signal regulates your blood sugar, your A1C. And now that your A1C has been regulated, it reduces your inflammation. Lowered inflammation restores your metabolism, restores its function, and gives your body trust. It shows your subconscious, we can trust you again. This is how healing actually supports you, and it happens. This is how the body is supposed to feel. This is how the body is supposed to operate. But we are not taught our body's design. So we don't know how the body's supposed to operate on the day-to-day besides of what's common around what everybody else feels, which is overweight, heavy, uncomfortable, not working out, not moving enough, thinking that a prescription is something that's mandatory as you age. Sitting here thinking that you have to have all of these chemicals and creams and everything else to clean your home, clean your body, put in your mouth, put in your food. But when you know what your body is designed for and how it's designed, you have steady energy. You're going to have clear thinking. You're going to have restful sleep. You're going to have stable hunger cues that you can trust. You're going to have a calm nervous system. You're going to have metabolic flexibility and safety, as well as you are going to have an efficient insulin response to the things that you eat. Not constant crashes, not an overload of inflammation, and not a whole day of anxiety and fear about the foods that you are eating. But knowing what happens to the body when you spend years in a path of having these eating patterns that are crazy and erratic, having chronic stress, blood sugar spikes, inflammatory foods every single day, and dietary cycling. This inputs a train of metabolic dysfunction into your body, and new inputs retrain your physiology. When you have those healthy new inputs that, yes, seems difficult because our body, we are creatures of habit. You're going to fight it at first. Your body's going to say, do we really need to change? We lost 5 pounds. That should be enough, right? We might even lose 20. That's enough. We look good. Let's just go on ahead and start eating the old snacks, right? But you're not seeking that momentary change of losing 10 or 20 pounds. You are looking for a sustainable change that, yes, keeps the 10 or 20 pounds off, but also keeps you away from a diabetic state. You're seeking understanding. You're seeking guidance. You want somebody that can help you hold yourself accountable and not shame you for being hungry. Knowing and having a proven framework that is sustainable. Having a system that knows how your body works, why insulin signaling or your insulin signaling is struggling to fix itself, why you are struggling with sugar cravings, what inflammation is doing to the body, how you stabilize your blood sugar daily with the foods that you eat, and how you build habits that last. You want to know how to fix what you have going on. You want to know how we keep ourselves out of a space of having insulin resistance or developing diabetes. You don't want that path. And I was somebody who did not want that path for myself as well. I have people in my family, like I said, people believe that it runs through your family, it runs in your family. But I have people in my family who have been diagnosed with diabetes, have been diagnosed with cancer and other things in their life. Some who have eaten correctly to fix it and some who have not. And the only difference is the people who use food as their medicine versus the people who think that this is just something that I have to deal with. And this is the reason why and how I created my metabolic reversal method, because it's about you understanding that insulin restoration, insulin resistance has a protocol. It has a structure that you have to break down and understand in the body in order for you to have regulated blood sugar in real time, for you to have stabilized insulin patterns every single day, for you to lower your inflammation, to build sustainable habits that keep you away from an inflammatory state, improve your metabolic flexibility, and understand your physiology and train yourself to recognizing the pattern habits and using food as your medicine strategically. Not having a diet, not about having another reset or a cleanse or a temporary plan, but correction. And so my metabolic reversal method will support you in doing that. It is linked in my bio. The women who work with me, who come into my programs, they have within a couple of days of us starting, have smoother energy, more energy, have fewer cravings. They reduce their inflammation. They help themselves restore healthy sleep patterns, have clearer focus, as well as they actually have confidence when it comes to them having a health journey rather than playing a guessing game. So let's say you are watching and you're waiting to go to the doctor in 6 months. You can confidently walk into your lab and say, I'm not walking in here walking out with insulin, but I'm going to walk in here and my doctor's going to tell me that my health has shifted and it has gone to a healthier pattern. So that way we can keep managing and watching it. So then by another 6 months, I'm no longer in a space of having insulin resistance. I'm not dreading the next time I go to the doctor because I know they're not going to give me a prescription. This program is for the women who are sitting here dealing with a wake-up call, that feel the urgency to change, that know that a whole bunch of information that's here on this TikTok app here is not giving you anything new. People have so many videos saved, and yet they're not correcting their habits because it's a whole bunch of information overload and not enough knowledge of how to change your habit patterns. That's what I teach, that accountability and that support of how we change our habit patterns. So if you are looking for that space, it is linked in my bio if you want to learn more. If you are looking to rebuild your metabolism with strategy, structure, and support, that program is for you. If you have any questions for me about insulin resistance, the program, diabetes, please drop them down now. If you're watching this later on YouTube, I do post on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday. So if you are looking at this on YouTube after the fact, please drop any questions that you have down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you're here on TikTok, please go subscribe to my YouTube. Any questions for me at all before I get off? And I think my dog needs to go OUT. Any questions at all? But I truly hope that this live has supported you. I try to go live at least 3 times a week. So if you have not followed me here on TikTok, please follow me. This is where we go live. And if not, I'm going to hop off. And if you've missed any past lives, they are posted on my YouTube. If you have not subscribed to my email list, I send out a Wellness Wednesday email every single week. It will be going out today, I think around 3-ish. I think that's when it's scheduled for. So if you are not on that email list and you would like the Wellness Wednesday email for today, this week, go on ahead and subscribe so you can get in there. I usually send them pretty early in the day. Today was a day that it was a later day just because of how everything had fallen. So go on ahead, check that out. It's linked in my bio. I'm not seeing any questions, so I appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you for all